prior to 6 March 1992 when the advertisement appeared?
I don't believe so.
I want to put something else to you. Have you seen a statement of a Mr. Gibson prepared for the Commission?
I have seen it. I didn't read it in any great detail, I have to say.
Right. Well, I was asking you some questions this morning about your relationship with Mr. Blewitt. Do you remember those?
Yes.
And I put to you that, in effect, you were the leader and he was the follower.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Gibson, in his statement, says we, that is, people from Tees, felt that if
Woodside, not Tees.
I'm sorry, Woodside, felt that if you wanted anything done, then it had to be done with Bruce, and that Ralph was simply Bruce's puppet. Pretty fair, isn't it?
That might have been his view.
Well, you can understand how he'd arrive at that view.
Not particularly. He only saw me occasionally. I mean, he wouldn't have seen most of the interaction that Ralph and I had.
Well,
and I did read the part that I think you're going to refer to, and I had a bit of a chuckle about that, I have to say. But and I could recall not the exact event, but I could imagine what actually happened on the day, and I might describe it a little bit differently to Mr. Gibson.
Well, let me put to you what Mr. Gibson says, and you can say whether you agree with it or not. He describes a meeting which occurred in around late 1992, attended by himself, his boss, Mr. Chris Cronin, you and Mr. Blewitt. And he says it took place in Mr. Wilson's office at the AWU at Wellington Fair in East Perth. Do you remember the meeting?
Not particularly.
And he says at the start of the meeting, Bruce asked if we wanted a coffee, which both of us said we did, that is both Mr. Cronin and Mr. Gibson. And with that, Bruce said something to Ralph like, well, fuck off and get the coffees. Ralph then left without question and got the coffees. Did that happen?
It may have happened, but I mean, the circumstances and the way that it would have happened wouldn't have been quite like that. They would have been somewhat different.
You gave directions like that to Mr. Blewitt though, didn't you?
I obviously did then. If Gibson says I did, and if it's an accurate record, I didn't do it that often. I mean, in the same way that he would sometimes speak like that to me.